Check, check. Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Time Lock, and today I want to show y'all how to make a Weekend type beat. Recently, I've been listening to hell of the Weeknd's like new album. I've been a fan for a minute now. After Hours is like what really got me into the music, but like Hurry Up Tomorrow, that shit's put me in a different zone where I'm just like trying to be on that like nighttime riding through like the freeway type shit. And I've really been trying to just like kind of get back in that mentality of just kind of cruising through life. So yeah, enough with the intro. I'm finna just show you how to like make a beat like this. So so yeah, like I was saying, I actually started the beat off with this like super like open synth, which is what I think Abel's production does really well, where it's like it's gonna take up enough room to where the entire sound spectrum is being filled up, but you can still hear the vocals pierce through, which is typically like that's why he's hitting that high range. He's trying to make it peak over there, but the whole mid range, the whole low end, most of it is being filled up, and then the high end with his voice is what's really taking up the rest of the space. So I started off with these chords right here, playing off the sound playlist, but I just don't want the cracking from the CPU. And when I found that sound, it really just reminded me of like, let's say some like old Trilogy, like that type of feeling. That's what I was really going for with this one specifically. So then this right here is that synth I was playing. And then while it's still taking up a lot of the space that I wanted to take up, I was like, all right, let's just start layering it. So the very next thing I did was actually add a synth bass, which I believe was this one right here. And then just something like that. That allows the whole spectrum to feel even like bigger than what it was with just that synth. And then to add along to that, I found this texture on Splice as well. Change the key, mess with the pitch. Adding more texture, just creating the soundscape. That's really what you want to go for. So like that highlight right now is really, although nothing's really too complicated, I just have chords that are going down, up, and then slightly up. But being able to create that feeling where it's just like, hey, I feel like I'm in the movie. I feel like I could envision this. I could see this being in like some Quentin Tarantino type shit. And then just having like a second variation of that synth where there's like actually some pauses. So that one should be this right here, and we're gonna go to the pattern view so we can see that space. And that's more so like, let's say for the for even more space to be available for the artist. So then let's say if, for example, if we have it with the bass line we were just playing, we go like this. Those slight pauses really allowed that pocket for the drums to actually fill in. To which we'll get to the drums in a little bit. I have them over here towards the second half of my playlist. But the other thing that I decided to do before really getting to the drums, because I wasn't too worried about that just yet, I actually layered piano onto here. So got a low end, like very mid-range based piano with a little bit of delay. For this one, I actually ended up using, yeah, just cutting out the low end and used Echo Boy to actually give it that feeling. Along with, I believe one of the biggest things that to really make that soundscape feel even more full is actually using compression. To which it sounds like super basic, but it's a night and day difference where if we listen to this without it, it still feels good. But adding this CLA 3A, it has an extra layer of depth. And if we really wanted to make it more analog, we can, which gives it even more of a wobble, makes it feel even more intimate. I typically just have it off because I don't like having the hiss in the background. I know I can control that by going to EQs and all that, but I didn't think this beat that really needed it. But to get to the next thing, I want, at least in the production that I've noticed for him, the Weeknd like has very detailed arrangement. This right here is just like more so to show y'all the, let's say just like the elements for the beat, but this is the actual arrangement right here. So this intro right here has those synths. It has this 4 count like 808, which I actually I'm gonna show y'all next, but it goes like this. It goes like that. I'm gonna put the synth. Just doing stuff like that to really give the arrangement more movement, because a lot of Abel's production really relies on very strong arrangement, to where for 4 bars you'll hear this, 4 bars you'll hear that, 8 bars only this is gonna play here, kind of like how Tyler the Creator does with all his shit. So then let's just go back to this view, and then yeah, let's go right here. The very next thing I actually ended up adding was also this like very different type of bass. At the octave I have it here, it's not really a bass, it's more like a high-end sound. Yep, it's this sound right here. And then what that allows is just kind of like even more tension building up within the beat. So then like, hey, let's say we got this. It's allowing that feeling to really build up while we're producing, while we're making the beat, creating that soundscape. Put that synth bass back in there. Put that texture. Let's also move these little risers towards the end of the bar instead. To which this also allows that to be built. Piano. And also, aside from that, we have the different version of that high rising feeling with the with the tension. I can't speak. It just goes down an octave or two. Let me check. G5, G sharp 5, I should say. Yeah, it's actually 3 octaves down, so then it's more so, it's the same exact sound, but it brings a different feeling to the beat overall. So then from there, I'm like, alright, cool, we have a really good bass line to work with. Let's add some melody on top. To which, it doesn't need to do too much. We just needed to do enough, because we still want the vocals to fit somewhere. We bring this in. And last thing is that 808. So this is when I started getting when I started getting going with the drums. I was like, yeah, I just need some that knocks but isn't too complicated. So we went like this. And a little roll. For this beat right here specifically, I was actually listening to Sidewalks and I was like really messing with the groove that it had on there. So I didn't really do too much in terms of like the actual programming. I was just like, all right, cool, we're just gonna do a hi-hat that hits every 4 steps. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the only hi-hat I really have going on for this section. Then we go here, add a snare hitting on each third beat. And we add a kick. 1, And honestly, that's really all I have going for the drums. And I also have that texture sound right there. And then the only other drums that I have for this beat, I have this pattern right here, which it's a lot more complicated, but like I said, the arrangement is super important for these kinds of beats. So the first half comprises of those drums that are like more sidewalks, Kendrick Lamar Weeknd based, but this one's going more for like, let's say like a trap, like when Metro Boomin and The Weeknd are working together. I was like, all right, cool. I want to go for that element too and cover both in the same song. So then this is the second half of the drums. And I should show it to y'all within the other playlist because I have it hidden with a few more kicks right here. Go here, put that there, and that's fine. You know what? I actually don't have the kick in. I just have it with the 808, which is essentially giving it that kick bounce. So like I said, in this beat, the whole sound spectrum is being used up. So we don't actually have to do too much in terms of percussion because everything else is already being filled up. Let's say unless we were making like something that we wanted to feel a little bit more busy, so to say, we could add more hi-hat rolls, do things like that, give it a little bit more sauce. But since it's already so busy, it's already like got a full spectrum. We don't have to worry about that aspect of it. Sometimes you just got to keep it simple, which nothing's wrong with being simple. People try to like kind of look at you crazy, but it's like, hey, bro, like, what you doing? You know, you just gotta look at them with that. And then right now, I'm actually show y'all like the final arrangement that I have for the beat, and then show you the MP3, the WAV file version of it, and then you could just tell me like what you think I have for the arrangement so far. All right, right now I'm gonna show y'all the final version of the beat. I'm not gonna play the entire thing like front to end. I'm also just gonna be playing a few snippets here and there that highlight the different parts of the arrangement that I was like highlighting was important. Because like I said, Abel relies so much on arrangement. Where should this pad hit? Where should there be space? Where should this bass line come in? When should I change the bass line? Doing things like that, even just like having no bass line, because you don't need a sound hitting 24/7 if it'll create more impact. There's different like aspects to it that you have to actually keep in mind, and more so not trying to be like the, hey, this needs a sound every single second. It don't need sound. Silence is still a sound. But yeah, let me show y'all like the actual. I'm gonna show y'all the first like 8 to 16 bars, and then we'll transition to the middle portion and the end portion. So, like I said, 4 beat hit 808 at the start. So that right there is the first 16 that creates like the suspense. It sets the mood for what we're trying to create later. I don't have all the sounds hitting because they're not supposed to hit yet. We're gonna wait on that. So once we get to the actual chorus, let's go to the 33rd. then that right there is going to be the chorus section. So what we're doing there now, we just built upon what we had, but now we have the texture coming in, which if you pay attention to it, I didn't really add any sounds to it. It's the same sounds that were playing during the first 16, but more so, all right, cool. How can we add to this but make it feel the same? Because we don't want it to feel too busy. And then we're gonna go to this section that's before, so it's like a pre-verse. And so for that section, if you peep right here, I just have a few sounds hitting. It's a lot emptier, but I have that lower octave, like sub bass that's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like going up and down, bro. I don't know how to say it. It should sound kind of crazy, but it is what it is. It's essentially doing that. It's creating that tension, like I was saying earlier. And then right here to add even more, I have this snare hitting 3 times. I only have it hitting 3 times on these 2 spots here before that drop because I know it's going to create even more impact for the listener. So we go. So now that I introduced it the first time, they're expecting it a second time, but it's going to drop into something different. So and then so, like I said, more of arranging. We switched it up that time. So then now we got to switch up it up another time. But it's not a new sound, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. It's some coming back. So for example, we're going to go here to, it's on the 97th bar. Right here, I still have the 808 hitting. So it's like, hey, I'm still listening to this 808 with the drums going crazy. All right, cool. They're going to think it's going to keep going, but what we're going to do is this. Brought that texture back in. Same drums, but we brought the synth bass back, which is like, hey, like if you play this in the car, it's gonna throw you off. You're like, I'm used to hearing these 808s now. You trained your ear to it, your ear got used to it, but you're gonna feel the rumble from that sub bass again. Whereas like it's gonna throw off the listener, but in the best way. Even same with that 808 roll at the end. It's transitioning. It's leading to the very next note. And then honestly for the outro, there's not too much. I was just kind of like what I typically tend to do. I'll take away most of the percussion and then just keep the soundscape I had, let it fade out, and then play with some reverb towards the end. So then the last 4 bars are gonna sound like this. But yeah, that right there is how I would make like a beat for the weekend or Hurry Up Tomorrow. Honestly, I think there's more like Trilogy more than anything, in my opinion. But I feel like it would still fit within that same like soundscape. So I feel like the key highlights in these kinds of beats, like I said, arrangement, picking the right sounds that are taking up that low end, that high end. If you pay attention to the music that he makes, the low, the low mids, the mids, those are always full, but the high end is being taken up by his voice itself. So try to make it busy enough, but not to the point where he wouldn't be able to sing on it. And lastly, is allow for space to hit where space needs to be. Because with the drums, with like adding those spaces to the pads, it's the same pad, but there's spaces, so it feels different. So trying to allow for the artist, whether that be the Weeknd, Brent, Bryson Tiller, whoever's a singer, give them space to breathe. And it's the same thing for rappers. Like if you wanna make a certain word hit better, add silence. As soon as they say the last word in the bar, put some delay, it's gonna hit harder. It's one of those things where space isn't bad. Doing nothing isn't bad. Like at least in music, like if I do nothing for 1 second and it hits harder once that second passes, you just created an even better moment for the listener. They weren't expecting that silence, and when it hit, when it came back, it drops even harder. So, yeah, like I'm saying, it was time lock here. This is actually my first time recording a video like this. So if y'all like it, fuck with me, subscribe, like. Hey, even turn on the bell, bruh. Turn on the turn. You know what? Just for that bell, bruh, I'll hit one of these motherfuckers right now if I could find it. Damn. Shout out Groovy though. He got me out here. He got me out here doing this shit for real. But yeah, hit that bell.